Blog Talk Radio. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Medlock Post radio show. This is where we educate, entertain, enlighten, and empower. The views and opinions on the Medlock Post radio show are those of the host and guests. They are not necessarily the views and opinions of Blog Talk Radio, Spreaker.com, its corporations, affiliates, or any other podcast streaming services. Thank you for joining the show today, and here is your host, Richard G. Medlock.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Richard G. Medlock on a bright, beautiful morning where I am on this October 21st, 2022. This is episode 69 of the Medlock Post, and it's Anything Goes Friday. Yes, that's a kind of an interesting title, but anything goes here today. There's a lot of things I have sitting in front of me that we're going to get to, and some of them you will not see in the mainstream media ever, folks, and there's a reason, and we'll talk about those reasons. And I appreciate the support from the listeners. A couple of these things you sent to me, I had not seen them. I mean, they're only a day or two old, but you sent them to me, which means you want me to talk about it, right? So we're going to talk about it and put it into perspective of what's going on today. Now, I want to start out with a little story from the other morning. I had to go out, run some errands, take care of some things. And I thought was going to be my last stop was dropping off a package at UPS. And I'm on right near where I live, a main commercial road where you have businesses and restaurants and hotels and shopping and all sorts of things. So UPS was in a big strip center there. So I went and dropped that off, and I'm coming out, and not quite straight across the street is Advance Auto. And yeah, free plug here. And I said, oh, yeah, I need a couple of minor things. And so I went in and picked up a couple of things coming out. And right next door to Advance Auto is a Taco Bell. Well, I haven't been to Taco Bell in 20 years. And I said, okay, I want to go in and try they've brought back their Mexican pizza. I used to love their Mexican pizza years ago. It was great. I said, let me try it, just see what's going on. So it's about 10:15, 10:20 in the morning. And they have this new breakfast menu now. So I go walking in. There's nobody in the restaurant. The girl's at the counter, and that's it. But the manager was in the back. I couldn't see him. So I walked over and I said, "Do you have the Mexican pizza?" She said, "Yes, we do. And I'd like to order it." And she says, "We'll go back over to the kiosk," which were big screens. So I touched the screen, and menu says, "I don't see it." She says, "Hit specialty item." So I hit specialty and looked in there. It was Mexican pizza. So I'm tapping it, and nothing happens. And I says, "Ma'am, I'm tapping this, and nothing's happening." Now, you're probably thinking, why didn't she just take my order? I'm the only one there. She's standing there doing nothing. Why didn't she take my order? But let's hear the rest of the story. So I says, "Ma'am, it's not working." So she came. She was a young girl, probably 19, 20 years old. She came out, and she's punching, nothing. So we get out of it. She exits out. We start over again. Still nothing. So we go to the next kiosk. They're back to back. So we walk around. Same thing there. Nothing is happening. So she calls out to the manager. She says, "Come on over here. I'll take your order over here," which she should have done in the first place, right? However, we found out at 10:20 in the morning that their kiosk didn't work. So when their lunchtime people started coming in, they had a problem. So, of course, the manager immediately got on the phone trying to figure out with IT or whoever, trying to get that started back up. So anyway, that was just kind of an interesting experience. But a side plus came out of it, that they discovered their kiosks weren't working. All right. Now, I want to read to you a text I received from a listener, probably my biggest fan listener, and she sent me this text. I wish she'd put these on the website, but she sent me this after the program the other day. Is there a real constitutional crisis? Episode 67. So I get this text from her, and I'd like to read it. "Most excellent. Definitely keeping that episode to listen again. Your powerful message was so very insightful, filled with truth and inspiration that has moved me and hopefully your listeners to have the deepest respect for the words of wisdom inspired from God for leadership, guidance, righteousness, morals, values, truth first in His holy word to give the guidelines for our Constitution. I pray that your message rings out in the ears of our leaders to be strongly led to stand firm, to uphold our Constitution and crush the plans of the ones who are trying to destroy America. Landfills get prepared and ready to be filled with the filth, trash, and manure because the voters are showing up and speaking out with their vote that enough is enough and time to clean up and get back wholesomeness in our families, our schools, and our America. That was her message to me, but I felt like everybody needed to hear that message. She, like I said, she listens to every episode, and I appreciate that. And many of you, I know you don't listen to all of them, but I appreciate all your support. My email is medlockpost@gmail.com. Again, people send me things. I appreciate it, or comments like that. And I've read a couple like that before. So it gives me the energy and the motivation to keep doing this and to keep putting out there the truth, the facts, supporting our founding fathers, supporting the Constitution. Now, another thing that I did yesterday is under the Blog Talk Radio and also Spreaker. I need to go back and change Spreaker. But I changed my category from education to politics. And I did that. I think I'm going to get a broader audience by doing that. And although we are growing, but I think we'll grow a little bit faster. And so when you see the show now, it says politics instead of education. But our purpose and goal is still to educate you with the knowledge you need to make choices which will benefit your lives and help you save America from totalitarianism. That's why we are here. That's why we are here on the Medlock Post. Ladies and gentlemen, not only is this Anything Goes Friday, but this is, guess what? Barry Goldwater Day. You're saying, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is the Medlock Post Barry Goldwater Day. There's not an official Barry Goldwater Day. And for those of you that don't know who he is, he was the GOP candidate for president that ran against Lyndon Baines Johnson in the 1964 presidential election. He lost, but he made a big impact. And he was from Arizona. I was fortunate enough to meet him and Bob Hope and stood there and had a nice chat with both of them at a convention. Very pleasant, very kind. And Bob Hope didn't crack one joke in that conversation. It was a joy to stand there. Two people that loved America as much as they did. And here I was, a college student, and it was a phenomenal feeling to be there, to be part of that event that was taking place, and to literally stand there and rub shoulders with Barry Goldwater and Bob Hope. Allie McGraw was there. I got to meet her. Do you think she's beautiful on the stage and screen? In person, being herself, she was more beautiful. And there were a couple of other celebrities. Well, there were a lot of celebrities there, but I didn't get to meet them, but they were there. There was another celebrity. Who was it I got to meet? I can't remember right now. But so something popped up yesterday about Barry Goldwater. And I said, let me go pull up some of his quotes. Well, we're going to quote Barry Goldwater a lot today. Now, here's his first quote of the day. To the mind, the single essential element on which all discoveries will be dependent is human freedom. Human freedom. The most single essential element. If we want to progress like America did from 1776 forward up until Woodrow Wilson, freedom is essential. That's key. Now, here's another one. This country has grown great and strong and prosperous by placing major reliance on a free economy. Private property, free competition, hard work, these have been our greatest tools. Barry Goldwater understood the founding fathers set up and why. And that's what the message we're trying to get out to you in our program. All right, we'll get back to some more of his quotes because there are plenty and they're all worth listening to. Let me get this organized. I want to go to a soundbite right now. And this is from a few months ago, and this is from the Congressional Record. And you can go in there and watch speeches that have been given that were given on the floor of either the Senate or the House. Well, this is the House of Representatives, and this is about the January 6th committee. Now, for some reason, they did not release this video until just a few days ago. Imagine that. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from the state of Georgia, who is a fireball. She's the one that when she got into Congress went after the Democratic and the Marxist. So Nancy Pelosi got her kicked off. They wanted to expel her from Congress because she was telling the truth. They did. They literally wanted to expel her from Congress. But there were some Republicans that pushed back. No, you can't do that. And matter of fact, Pelosi can't do that. She has to be impeached. The member has to be impeached to be expelled. So anyway, it's almost 9 minutes. Listen carefully to what Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about here, and you're going to hear some things you've never heard before because the mainstream media refuses to reveal it.
The gentlelady from Georgia, Ms. Taylor Greene.
Thank you, Scott, and I really appreciate you bringing up these very important details that I highly doubt we will hear anything about from the January 6th committee. You know, there's some very interesting facts that came out today, as a matter of fact, reporting on the failure of this chamber, this Capitol to be secured. And I want to tell you something. On January 6th, I was a brand new member of Congress. And I want you to know,
How many days had you been here, Representative Greene?
January 3rd was my first day on the job.
So you've been here 3 days?
That's right,
okay.
3 days.
All right.
And I looked at the Capitol and thought this was the most secure building that I could possibly be in at least in this city, possibly in the country, because it's our nation's capital. And tragically, we found out it was not. And I was shocked by that. What amazes me is the overwhelming amount of evidence that the National Guard was requested to be here, and it was continuously turned down. And the biggest shocker to me is that there's three people that turned it down. It was Chuck Schumer in the Senate, Nancy Pelosi in the House, and Mayor Muriel Bowser.
If I could interject for just a moment, who's in charge of security here in the House of Representatives?
The Sergeant-at-Arms, and that would be Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
Nancy Pelosi.
The Speaker.
The Speaker of the House is the one in charge of the House Sergeant-at-Arms. And the House Sergeant-at-Arms and the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms turned down the request for the National Guard to keep all of us safe from the threats that they knew existed.
Are we going to find out if they got ordered to do that by the Speaker or by the leader in the Senate? We're going to find that out tonight?
No, we will not hear that from the January 6th committee that has spent millions of taxpayer dollars supposedly investigating January 6th. I highly doubt we will hear that. But I want you to know that when we take back majority, these will be the investigations that we take on. Now, I want you to know some other things that really bother me as we've spoken about the failure and absolutely purposeful refusal to protect this Capitol by Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, Chuck Schumer, and Mayor Muriel Bowser. These are the failures. They did it on purpose. There's other things I don't think we'll hear about tonight, and I want to remind everyone. Number one, we still do not know who the pipe bomber is. Who is the person? There are videos everywhere. It's all over the FBI website. But we don't hear that coming out consistently from the January 6th committee. You know what else we don't hear enough about? We do not understand what is happening to the over 800 people who have been arrested and charged for the events on January 6th. We don't know what is happening to them, and there are dozens of them right here in this city wasting away in the D.C. jail, being treated like political prisoners of war. And you know what? This is before they have been convicted of anything. They are there pre-trial, and no one cares about them. No one on this January 6th committee dares to ask a question, what is happening to these people and why their due process rights are being so flagrantly and horrifically violated pre-trial. Pre-trial, they are sitting in that jail. Do you know they have begged to go to Guantanamo Bay because they think terrorists are treated better than they are treated there. But no one cares about them. These people have been arrested and charged, and they're wasting in jail. You want to know something else that we're probably not going to hear about? What about the fact that there's a man named Ray Epps? Do you know who's not in the D.C. jail? Ray Epps. Ray Epps is not in the D.C. jail. And I know because I went in the D.C. jail. I did not see him there. He also is on video over and over again telling people to go in the Capitol.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear about Ray Epps this evening.
I don't think we're going to hear about Ray Epps. I don't think so. I don't think he's on the witness list. You know who else we probably won't hear about? The man on the scaffolding, the so-called scaffolding commander that told the crowd, told them, sent them, gave them orders to go in the Capitol, storm the Capitol. I haven't heard about him being questioned. Have you?
No, I have not.
No. You want to know something else? Here's a woman we don't hear anything about. A woman named Roseanne Boylan that was trampled in the tunnel, trampled to death. We never hear anything about this woman. She died in the tunnel of this Capitol, and I saw the video myself when I was in the D.C. jail from one of the people being held there, pre-trial, by the way, of her body being dragged across the floor, and then it was taken somewhere else. Do you know what happened when they were dragging her body away? They pulled her away from someone that was giving her CPR. She was pulled away from life-saving CPR. Why did that happen? Are we going to hear about that from the committee tonight? I doubt it. They don't care about Roseanne Boylan. Here's my major issue. We are representatives of the people of the United States of America, and all I hear from everyone in this body is all they care about is themselves. The American people are suffering from so many things happening from the decisions of this body. But the people in this body and the people in that committee don't care about Roseanne Boylan from Georgia, by the way. They don't care about her family. They don't care about justice for them. They don't care about anything else but, oh, what happened to us on January 6th? Well, what happened to the American cities in 2020 that were burned and looted and destroyed because of BLM violence? Nothing. All that money raised on Act Blue for BLM, it went in their pockets. No one paid to rebuild those communities. Not at all. You know what else we probably won't hear about? Is Michael Byrd, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt right out there. We don't hear about his reckless record of guns, which is all we've talked about all weekend here. We aren't hearing about that. Why aren't we hearing about that record? Why? Why is it he's standing trial? He's not. He just gets to get away with it. Did you know, and it's on video, I bet you we won't see this video, but I've seen it and it's out there. Did you know Ashley Babbitt was trying to stop people from breaking in? That is on video. I've watched it over and over. She was trying to stop people from breaking in, and then she was shot and killed. Yes, a lot happened on January 6th, and here's my question. You know what else? And the American taxpayers pay for this. There's surveillance cameras all over this building. If we really want to know the truth about January 6th, it's real easy. All we have to do is release the video footage, and everyone can see for themselves what exactly happened. And I think the American people deserve that. While they have to watch and go through this big cinematic production tonight and carrying on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the American people pay for it, by the way, the American people deserve to see all the video surveillance, not just the little cut and pasted pieces that the January 6th committee is going to show tonight. And most of all, I want to finish with this. There is something terrible happening in this process, and it's called defamation of character. The 45th president of the United States' character is being defamed, and all of his staff and his family and all Republicans, everyone's reputation is being defamed as lies are being told about all of us and President Trump just for politics. And it makes me sick. It absolutely disgusts me. If we're supposed to represent the American people and we're supposed to do a good job and uphold this place with honor and keep its reputation good for the people we serve, then we should be truthful. But what's about to happen tonight is not going to be truthful. It's going to be a political narrative, and it's all for politics, and it is sickening. And with that, I'll yield back my time.
Well, I thank the gentlelady.
Did you hear the passion in her voice? We should have the same passion. We should be letting our senators and congressmen from our states and districts know how we really feel. I think they do at this point, especially the Democrats. They're scared to death of November 8th because of you, the United States citizens. Now, we need more Marjorie Taylor Greenes in the Senate and the House. She's not afraid to speak up. She's not afraid of the media. Oh, I can't say something. The media will excoriate me. Let them. The media does not like Republicans. They do not like conservatives. They do not like the Constitution. So you are not going to please them. No. And who cares now? They don't get watched by that many people anymore. I mean, I probably have more listeners than CNN, to be truthful, because they're listening to me, folks. They're listening. And yes, the other day I did get cyber attacked for just a little bit, for like 20, 30 seconds. I went and checked, and after the show, I checked my malware bytes, and it had stopped a few attacks. They don't like the truth. Not one bit. So she goes after a lot of things. This thing about Ashley Babbitt, I've seen that video, folks. She was basically standing there, and all of a sudden a shot rang out from, you didn't see the shot in the video. All these people are just standing there, not moving. They're just kind of talking to each other. And then all of a sudden a shot rings out and she drops, and people take a step back and like, what the heck happened? And then they realized she'd been shot in the neck, and they tried to help her. And then the other lady in the tunnel, you're not going to hear about this in the mainstream media. You're going to hear about it here on the Medlock Post, and we're going to let you know. This is getting, it is out of hand. Totalitarianism is trying to take over America. Posted this on on the Medlock Post Facebook group the other day. Now, it's a private group. If you want to join it, you have to request to join. And I appreciate many of you from around the country that have asked to join the group. And from all over the country are joining the group because of this program. Now, one guy, I want to thanks to Jeff in Colorado. Not only did he come on, but all of a sudden, all these people from Colorado were requesting to join the group. And all of them said, friends of Jeff, And is not his real last name. And I'm not going to use that on air. So, Jeff, thank you for your support. And I had a lady just the other day, but I can't remember where she was from. So, but I post a lot of things on there. I posted this on the Medlock Post group and also Up With America group, which is a public group, and you can join that. And a lot of people have liked this and made positive comments. It's a short statement. I don't know who wrote it or whatever, but it showed up on my personal page one day. Somebody posted it. I'm going to read this. It's a good message. I don't care who this offends, but I stand by it. War is coming sooner or later. You, the government, you are all a bunch of cowards. You raised the cost of living so high that both parents are always at work rather than spending time with their children. Single parents stand no chance. You took God out of schools. Parents were told, no, you can't discipline your kids. Well, now most of those kids are rude and out of control. You shall reap what you sow. We have taken a whole generation and turned them into selfish, entitled brats who have no respect for people, property, or authority. You deem people with terminal illnesses and some with only a few months to live fit for work. You allow our veterans of war to go homeless and hungry, but give out millions to foreign aid, and that should be billions to foreign aid. You save drug addicts over and over again, but refuse to give free diabetic supplies to those who need them to stay alive. You bend over backwards to be politically correct, too scared to say enough is enough in case you offend someone. You put the retirement age up so people must work until they drop. You take care of prisoners and give them everything under the sun: food, medical, education, representation, money, rehabilitation, yet you cause the elderly, those who have paid their debt to society and their families, to go broke caring for them either at home or in a nursing home. Things need to change. Powerful message. I guess that's the theme of today's show too. Powerful messages. We need to be speaking up. How many of you have ever been put in Facebook jail? I hope every one of you. I hope you're putting things on your Facebook page about the truth, about the Constitution, about these totalitarian leaders we have in Washington and in your state, if that's true, and putting that message out there. Let them put you in jail. Challenge it every time and challenge them on the rights of the First Amendment and free speech. I've done it over and over. And within a couple of hours, I'm out of jail. Now, you know what they've done to my account now? They've restricted it. If I post something today, it's not going to show for 90 days. Yeah, they have their ways, folks. They have their ways. The UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss, resigned yesterday after 44 days in office. She was politically assassinated by the globalists. Let's focus on the United Kingdom for just a little bit. Boris Johnson got elected as Prime Minister and ended up getting the country through Brexit. 51% of the people voted to leave the European Union. Well, Boris Johnson really didn't do much because he was a globalist. Yeah, but he kept negotiating this and negotiating that with the European Union, never really got it finalized. Now, they never went to the euro. They kept their own currency, which was smart. So Liz Truss gets in and wants to turn a nation in trouble around. And she makes a lot of economic announcements, cutting taxes. They opened up all the fracking in the country to get them oil, so that because Russia had cut everybody off in Europe, and we can't sell them as much oil as we used to because of Joe Biden's shutting down the oil industry. She wanted to cut all tax rates and made the announcement. Well, she started taking heat from everywhere. Their stock market tanked. The pressure was coming in, and she started doing some reversals. She said, okay, we're not going to lower taxes on the rich. Well, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. People said, hey, we put you in here to do the right thing, and you were doing the right thing. Why did you reverse course? She was politically assassinated by the globalist. And the person that will take her place will probably be a globalist. This is the days that we live in here, folks. They're scary days. I mean, you look at what Taylor Greene said. They're not going to tell the truth in this January 6th committee. We've known that from the beginning. The thing is unconstitutional. The Republicans were not invited to put anybody on that committee, which is, you can't do that. You can't have a committee with any authority unless both parties are represented. Well, so what they did is Pelosi got Liz Cheney and Kisner. Is that it? Yeah, Kisner or Kinzer. Both of them hate Trump. We met the regulations. No, you didn't. And Mark Meadows told them, says, no, you didn't. I did not assign them to that committee. We were not invited to put anybody on that. You invited them, which is illegal. And, of course, both of them will be out of Congress at the end of this session. I mean, Liz Cheney got trounced in Wyoming. Trounced by the Trump-supported nominee. And Kisner knew, he announced months ago he wasn't going to run. He knew the polls were showing him he was down to 20% support. You can't recover from that, folks. This is what's happening not only in America, folks, but around the globe. This is an international problem everywhere, and they're trying to use climate change or climate crisis to get control of things now. Along the other way, and the central banks. We're going to get into a little bit of that. Now, let's look at comparisons between how things were under Trump and how they are under Biden today. Now, yesterday we talked about gas. I mean, and I mentioned what gas prices were yesterday, a month ago, and a year ago, and we're still at the highest point. Yeah, we've been higher, but it's going back up, folks, because of new taxes, new regulations, and other things that are happening in the economy, and what Joe Biden and his administration is doing. But let's look at these numbers. Before we get to these, on March in 2020, gas here in my hometown was $1.79. $1.79. Now, yesterday, it was $3.29. Now, a few weekends ago, it went up 30 cents a gallon overnight. Overnight. So I figured it up from $1.79 to $3.29 is an 87% increase cost of gasoline. Now, that was here. Now, let me go down these numbers, and you'll see. The last day Trump was in office, inflation rate was 1.4%. Today, under Biden, it's 8.5%. The national average for gasoline $2.39. Do you know in California, you pay over $2 a gallon of gas to state taxes? What is it, $2.50 a gallon? Or was it $1.50? Anyway, you're paying a lot of taxes out. That's why they're higher out there. Plus, they demand a different mix out there. All right, so $2.39 prices on a national average today is $3.85. The 10-year mortgage rate, or excuse me, the 30-year mortgage rate, got to put my glasses on. The 30-year mortgage rate was 2.65%. January of 2021. Today, the 30-year mortgage is 7%. Take a little depending on the day. So 2.65 to 7%. Kicked a lot of people out of the ability to buy a home. Average rent prices, $1,625. Under Trump, today, over $2,000. In my area, a one-bedroom apartment goes for $1,900 a month. $1,900, one bedroom. A few years ago, it was $900. Now, compare the markets. The Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, they're way down since Biden took office. Grocery prices increased 3.7% under Trump. Depending on what you buy, it could be 14%, 40%, 70%. So that varies. Electricity rose 1.5% under Trump. Electricity today is up 15, 16% and going up. Natural gas is going to see like a 40% increase in their bills in natural gas and fuel oil to heat. There are people that are going to go cold this winter, especially in the Northeast. California, their power grid cannot handle what it has. I mean, they're telling their people out there, don't go charge your electric vehicle. But you can only buy an electric vehicle. But they don't have a system to maintain everything. And under Trump, real wages were increasing 4% a year. Under Biden, they go down. They've gone down every year. Well, I'm being paid more, but inflation is eating up whatever increase you're getting. I mean, it's a cycle they've gotten into that is just tearing up the economy on purpose. Barry Goldwater said, quote, "Those who seek absolute power, even though they seek it to do what they regard as good, are simply demanding the right to enforce their own version of heaven on earth. And let me remind you, they are the very ones who always create the most hellish tyrannies. Absolute power does corrupt, and those who seek it must be suspect and must be opposed. Their mistaken course stems from false notions of equality, ladies and gentlemen. Equality, rightly understood as our founding fathers understood it, leads to liberty and to the emancipation of created differences. Wrongly understood, as it has been so tragically in our time, it leads first to conformity and then to despotism." Unquote. He nailed it right there, folks. I read the other day from Samuel Adams. And to the question I asked, what principle of the Constitution does this apply to? And Samuel Adams said, if it doesn't apply to the things of the Republic, which we are, then it needs to be done away with. And we have a lot of representatives in Congress that do not apply to the Republic. They need to be done away with on November 8th. That simple, folks. Yeah, wake it up. Get your minds going here. Get them going. All right, we'll get back to Barry Goldwater in just a minute. Joe Biden, Larry Kudlow. Let me go back to Larry Kudlow. In my opinion, Larry Kudlow on Fox Business at 4 o'clock is the best news show on any network. They tell it like it is, from experience, from knowledge, and from wisdom. And when Larry Kudlow calls Joe Biden the most profound, prolific political liar in American history, I believe him. Plus, he called Joe Biden beyond stupid. Joe Biden, we talked a little bit on the last episode yesterday about his news conference Wednesday, Joe Biden's news conference. He lied through the whole thing. The one soundbite I didn't play was when he stood there and said, I have done nothing to interfere with energy production in this country. It is all the oil companies that are taking those profits and doing nothing with them, and da-da-da-da-da. Literally stood there and said, I have done nothing to stop production. His pants should have caught on fire, folks. Literally. You can't tell a bigger lie than he did right there, with a straight face. That's who we are dealing with in Washington. And those of you, I had this quote the other day. I should have got it out. I'll see if I can pull it up. But here's something about history. Let's go back and review a few things. First off, Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State under Richard Nixon, is a globalist. He is a one world government supporter. He is part of that group that wants to rule the world. Okay, understand that. Both George H. Bush and George H.W. Bush are globalists. They mention it many times in their speeches. Bill Clinton is a globalist. Barack Obama is a globalist. I'll play you the soundbite. Let me play that soundbite real quick.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
What is so hard to understand about that, folks? We're the elites. You ordinary people, you common folk, go eat cake. You understand when Marie Antoinette said that, what cake was? Cake was the charcoal left over from burned wood in those days. That was cake. Well, he's telling us the same thing right there, Obama is. So you have these globalists as presidents of the United States. Joe Biden is a globalist. Now you say, really? Biden administration proposes merging U.S. with Mexico and Canada. Now, let's go back to George H.W. Bush for a minute. He signed, along with Canada and Mexico, the North American Union, the NAU. Look it up, folks. Look up North American Union. It was signed. It was an agreement between the United States, Mexico, and Canada to become one country. No borders, one government, one currency, just like the European Union, which has basically been a disaster. This all stemmed from the Council on Foreign Relations, the CFR. A lot of you think, oh, that's to help the president form foreign relations. No, the council forms the foreign policy, and they tell the president what to do. We had the Free Trade Area of the Americas, the FTAA. All 34 countries on the North, Central, and South American continents were to form a free trade area of the Americas. Now, this was after NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement, which was a total disaster for the United States. Who signed that? Bill Clinton. It came about under George H. Bush, who was president after Reagan, and a globalist. It didn't get signed, and the globalists went to Bill Clinton. This is documented. Went to Bill Clinton and says, "We will make you president if you will sign NAFTA after you're elected." Bill Clinton would do anything for money and other things. So he became president and signed it. Manufacturing plants in the United States left America left and right, shutting down plants, shutting down industries, people out of work, but all going to Mexico or other places for cheap labor and all this stuff. It was a detriment to our economy. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the Biden administration proposes merging with U.S., with Mexico and Canada again. This is in the New American. It's a internet news. This is one of the things that was sent to me. Just jumped all over me because I've been following this for years. No border, no wall, no USA at all, unquote. This line has been chanted by Antifa and other anti-American agitators, but now a new report reveals it has prominent supporters in a very high place, the Biden's regime upper echelons. The administration's hand was tipped by Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, a.k.a. AMLO, when he announced recently that Secretary of State Anthony Blinken proposed opening all borders among the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Well, hello, they've already opened Mexico, and they're not doing anything to stop people coming in from Canada. I saw the other day they arrested some people coming in from Canada. You don't hear about that border, do you? They're streaming in from Canada. I think that Mr. Blinken, this is President López Obrador, quote, I think that Mr. Blinken spoke about consolidating the region of North America, and we agree on that. Yeah, why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they agree? They benefit from all of this. The United States doesn't benefit. Of course, since Blinken, who is a blithering idiot, speaks with the Biden administration, it's fair to assume this is now unofficial federal policy. While this story should be front page news, it has largely been ignored by the media. But Fox News commentator Tucker Carlson did report on it Friday. He said, quote, "So the European Union has not really worked out well for Europe, and we know the details we'll know the details this winter when people are freezing," said Carlson. So naturally, the Biden administration wants to create something very much like that in North America, a UN-style government. Folks, globalism, they are going to stop at nothing to bring down the United States of America and control it. Now, further with this article, I think that Mr. Blinken spoke about consolidating the region of North America, and we agree on that. Well, same thing I just wrote. It got doubled in here. Like the way we are also in favor of a unity of the entire American continent, like the way the first European community emerged and converted into the European Union. That's what we want. This is Secretary of State Blinken, who has no clue what he is doing. Carlson said this, so we're going to merge with Mexico in the middle of the most brutal drug war in its history. Mexico is effectively run by the cartels at this point, but we're going to merge with the cartels, unquote. And that's a true statement. The cartels control our southern border right now, not our border patrol. No, they've been handcuffed. Congressman Matt Gaetz gets into this, explain that the implications of Blinken's proposal by saying this, it means that the globalist left wants a homogenized America because they don't think that much of the United States in the first place. I haven't gotten an answer to the letter, but it begs the question, why are we so friendly with Mexico in the first place? Now, this goes on and on. When I post this episode onto my blog, Medlock Post at blogspot.com, I will put a link to these articles I'm quoting today, so you can read the full thing and understand it. So that's Medlock Post at blogspot.com. So I'll put these links up with the link for the podcast, radio program, whatever you want to call us, I guess podcast. So let's add to this a little bit. In 2013, comments to Latin American bankers previously suppressed but revealed by WikiLeaks in 2016, Hillary Clinton said, quote, "My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders sometime in the future with energy that is as green and sustainable as we can get it," unquote. What's more, analyzing a North American Union to the EU isn't entirely accurate. The reality is far worse. After all, there's no great incentive for Europeans to migrate en masse to other European nations. Yeah, they don't migrate over there. There's no need. You're going to run into the same thing wherever you go. The John Birch Society is fighting long and hard against this and have been fighting against it from way back when. You can go on the John Birch Society website and see all sorts of things, like the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, was approved by the House by 385 to 41 on December 19th, 2019, and by the Senate by 89 to 10 vote on January 16th, 2020. It came into force on July 1st, 2020. Trump signed this. He negotiated this. While NAFTA set the foundation to integrate the free North American countries, the USMCA is moving us closer to a full-blown Euro-style North American Union. We changed the name of our action project from Stop the USMCA to Get Out of the USMCA. However, the first order of business is to educate Americans on the need to stop the North American Union. Now, this is from John Birch Society website. Part of a world government buildup. The USMCA is part of a startling but purposeful strategy used by the globalist elites to integrate individual nations into regional unions with overreaching, unaccountable bureaucracy. It's called the administrative state, and we already have that in the United States government. Unelected officials running and everything and making the decisions. These regional unions help to create a new world order that is being organized under, yes, you understand that, the United Nations. The UN's Commission on Global Governance wrote in 1995, quote, regional cooperation and integration should be seen as an important and integral part of a balanced system of global governance, unquote. Who was president in 1995? That's right, Bill Clinton. And he was part of this. Existing unions include the European Union, African Union, Union of South America, Eurasian Economic Union, and more. We've stopped similar trade deals in the past, including the Free Trade Area of the Americas, which I talked about earlier, and the Security Prosperity Partnership, the TPP and the TTIP, which was with Asia and the Pacific area. And those were stopped. Trump stopped those. Mass migration is a tool that they use, and it's ready to go. It's already started. The plan is supported by the establishment-oriented leadership of both parties, along with the deep state and cultural Marxists. As with past civilization, massive immigration is being used to fundamentally alter the nature of our constitutional republic. The deep state and globalist elites understand that the vast majority of individuals from other countries and cultures have no knowledge or understanding of the U.S. Constitution and the philosophical principles held by the Founding Fathers. By importing these individuals en masse, which prevents their assimilation into American philosophy and culture, the elites are able to reshape the nation to their liking. The elites are the democratic Marxists. We do not oppose immigration when it's done through the system legally. There are laws for that which have been totally ignored under the Biden administration. What we do oppose is the uncontrolled, massive migration, both legal and illegal. This is why you need to sound like Marjorie Taylor Greene and me and contact your elected officials from your area and tell them this has to stop. Daniel Dennett said this, and this applies so well to what's happening today. There's simply no way to tell people they've dedicated their lives to an illusion. That's right. Wokeness is an illusion. Thank you, Daniel Dennett, for this quote. All right, folks. I have 6 pages left. We're probably not going to get to everything, but we're going to, and we can carry it on later in the next episode. This is why education is so important. You get the truth, folks. What did the Lord say? The truth will set you free? Freedom. Freedom is what we need. Let's do a Barry Goldwater quote. Extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. Tolerance in the face of tyranny is no virtue. Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. And moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. Moderation in the protection of liberty is no virtue. Extremism in the defense of freedom is no vice. I think he doesn't like extremism. Do you? That's what I get. The currently favored instrument of collectivization is the welfare state. The collectivists have not abandoned their ultimate goal to subordinate the individual to the state, but their strategy has changed. Barry Goldwater. Yeah, that came about with the Cloward-Piven theory right after, not long after Barry Goldwater said this. You're not going to hear this next important information on the mainstream media. Not. You are not. And there's a reason you are not. And we'll get to that. This was in The Defender. Now, The Defender is from Israel. From Israel. I just came across this yesterday in researching, and it blew my mind for many reasons. Scientists have identified 2 antibodies they believe are so effective at neutralizing COVID-19 and all of its variants. All of its variants. That they could serve as an effective substitute for vaccines. 2 antibodies have been uncovered. This is out of Tel Aviv University in Israel. 2 antibodies have been uncovered that are so effective at neutralizing COVID-19 and all its variants that they believe the antibodies could serve as an effective substitute for the vaccines. The antibodies, TAU 1109 and TAU 2310, and TAU stands for Tel Aviv University, bind to a different area of the spike protein than other antibodies, one that doesn't undergo many mutations. TAU 1109 is 92% effective at neutralizing the Omicron strain and 90% effective at neutralizing the Delta strain. Do you hear those numbers? 92% and 90%. TAU 2310 has an efficacy rate of 84% at neutralizing Omicron and a 97% efficacy rate against the Delta variant. The researchers believe that with effective antibody treatment we will not have to provide booster doses to the entire population every time there is a new variant. Let this sink in for a minute, folks. All of you people that took the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, and multiple boosters, we're at the fourth booster, fifth booster. All of you that took this, all of you that got COVID, and they said there's no treatment when there was a monoclonal, and all these people that died from COVID and still continue, a very small amount now that are dying and even getting it. It's very small, although the Biden administration has kept the COVID precautions all in place. We're still under a health crisis notice. Crazy, right? Okay. But that's to control you, folks. Researchers at Tel Aviv University revealed 2 antibodies that are so effective at neutralizing SARS-CoV-2 or SARS-CoV-2 and all of its variants that they believe the antibodies could serve as an effective substitute. Now, the effectiveness of the vaccines have been minimal, to say the least. And you have to get these boosters because they found out, and they knew it, that the booster was only effective for a short period of time, like 90 days, maybe 120. The other thing that it did, and I'm probably going to get cyber attacked for going here, is that it put blocks on your antibodies to go after any new variant or even the flu. It affected your immunity system. And this has been proven, folks. And they've shut these doctors up. And they've shut these news agencies up that have been trying to tell us that. One of the glaring failures surrounding COVID-19 shots is their lack of effectiveness against emerging COVID-19 strains. Choosing the spike protein on which to base COVID-19 shots, scientists picked a protein that not only was known to be toxic to humans, but was not the part of the virus that promoted the best immune response. So they didn't pick the right protein. Spike protein mutates rapidly, which essentially destroys virtually all protection that the shot provides shortly after it's given. The end result is a seemingly never-ending series of annual shots and boosters, which can only offer rapidly waning protection. You will not see this in the mainstream media, folks. If the Israeli researchers' findings are verified and the antibodies turn out to be as effective as suspected, it could eliminate COVID-19 booster shots entirely. Previous antibody treatments had mixed results. Now, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has authorized multiple monoclonal antibody or MAB cocktails for this treatment of COVID-19. However, as variants emerged, their effectiveness varied, and with some becoming ineffective and others retaining their activity. Wow. This is Israel. This isn't happening in America where it should be. No, we have Boston University going up there and creating a new COVID that has an 80% kill rate. Why? Why are they doing that? They've created a more powerful COVID than the Chinese created. Why? Back to the article. This indicates that some antibodies elicited by infection are more variation sensitive than others, and that antibody breadth of specificity and not only potency should be considered. The researchers from the Department of Clinical Microbiology and Immunology at Tel Aviv University's Sackler Faculty of Medicine wrote in the journal Communications Biology. For instance, in January, the FDA limited the use of 2 monoclonal antibody treatments, and I can't pronounce those names, which are administered together. The Regen Cove and there's 2 other drugs to patients infected with a variant known to be susceptible to them. It's not working now. All right, let me scoot down. This is a very long one. I cut out most of it. I'm just trying to give you the highlights. Again, when I post this at medlockpost.blogspot.com today, I will put a link to these articles, and you can read them. Or you can go look it up. These 2 antibodies could neutralize all COVID strains in the Defender, DEFENDER. One of the doctors said this: in the previous study, we showed that the various antibodies that are formed in response to infection with the original virus are directed against different sites of the virus. The most effective antibodies were those that bound to the virus's spike protein, in the same place where the spike binds the cellular receptors ACE2. Of course, we were not the only ones to isolate these antibodies, and the global health system made extensive use of them until the arrival of the different variants of the coronavirus, which in fact rendered most of those antibodies useless. So these 2 new antibodies can control COVID. Why aren't the United States FDA and other organizations, health organizations like the World Health Organization, jumping all over this report? Oh, look, we can do away with vaccines and control COVID and effectively eliminate it. We're probably not going to fully eliminate it, but when people get sick, the vast majority are going to get over it and still have protection and build up their immunity against new variants. Why aren't they jumping all over this? It's called money. Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson and all these corporations that are manufacturing these vaccines which don't work, that have caused more damage than the COVID. I don't know if I can say more damage, but has caused a lot of lingering and life-changing damage. It's all about money. They've made billions and billions and billions of dollars off the vaccine. Now we have 2 antibodies that are proven to be together curing it. Not eliminating it like polio or something like that, but it will also not only cure the COVID, but build up your immunity system to fight against new variants, which the vaccines do just the opposite. I mean, we've got friends that took the vaccine, got COVID, took the booster, got COVID again, took another booster, and they're still getting COVID. They're like their 3rd, 4th round. And there are people that didn't get the vaccine that are, some of them are doing the same thing. But here's medicine. The world should be jumping all over this from Tel Aviv University. They should be traveling there and saying, Let us help you. Let us jump in. We'll bring some money. Help us. We'll help you so we can get this out to the world as fast as we can. Now, there was a study at the University of California at San Diego, and they're sending it to other testing areas and so forth and so on. They're not serious about it. They're not. And who will pay the price? The human race. The human race will pay the price. So maybe some of you listeners can have some pull. Here's your pull, ladies and gentlemen. It's at the ballot box in 2.5 weeks. 19 days or 18 days, whatever it is now. These globalists, get these Marxists out of office. And yes, we have them in the Republican Party too. I say we. I'm not a Republican, folks. That party left me a long time, years ago, 30 plus years ago. They left me. But that's our best bet right now until a better party comes along, which it just might. It just might. So here's the last question, the last line of this article. So it remains to be seen whether an antibody treatment that targets every COVID-19 variant effectively will ever see the light of day in hospitals and outpatient clinics. It's a great question, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? What's the answer? We'll see, won't we? But we're going to keep talking about this. I'm going to try to keep following up on this and see where it goes. Now, I'm looking, I have 2 more things to go through, but we don't have enough time. These will have to move forward to the next episode. I will carry these forward, folks. I will start with these in the next episode, episode 70, on Monday, October 24th. It's Monday the 20th. Dave's 21st, 2nd, 3rd. Yeah. Okay. Monday the 24th, episode 70. So here we did Anything Goes Friday. And we did it. Barry Goldwater quote day. We didn't get to all of his quotes, which we can probably carry forward, some of those. Now, I would like to finish up today with Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was a brilliant man. A lot of people think he was very eccentric. Walden's Pond and all that stuff. But he was a brilliant man. A brilliant man. And I want to leave with this counsel that he put in one of his poems. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a little formula of how to succeed in life. This is a great day in America, and America is still the greatest nation on earth. We are to continue the fight to protect America, to protect the Constitution. And we will do this on a daily basis. Stand up, speak up, do something. Do it locally, do it statewide, do it nationally. This is how we save America. And that, folks, is the Medlock Post radio show for today. May God bless America, and may God bless you. And we're going out with Funk 49.